Sport Fishing on the Fly is brought to you by Togen's Fly Shop, Maui Jim Sunglasses, and Hardy Rods and Reels.
Today on the bench, I want to tie you up the Twisted Sister Chironomid. Now, it's a very cool chironomid pattern. What we saw filming at one of the lakes was chironomids coming up and emerging. And when they were emerging, you can see on the video here, they just crawl up and they're bent. They're very actually twisted as they emerge. They're not straight up and down, not even kind of curved. They are bent. So make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For the hook, we'll use a size 14 swimming nymph hook, some 6/0 rust thread to tie with, some white Antron for the gills, a 7/64 inch matte black tungsten bead for the bead, some smoke buzzer wrap for the body, some black Flashabou for the rib, and some rust thread for the thorax. To start the fly off, I've actually put the hook in the vise so that the eye is pointing down. It's always, since it's such a bent hook, it has to be pointed down so you can tie in your thread. So we're just going to tie in the thread right at the eyelet to start. Form a nice little base layer. So now that we have our thread tied in, I've taken a strip of my white Antron. We're just going to tie it in right behind the eyelet. Take a few wraps, cut off your excess, and then whip finish, because we are going to put the bead on. So whip finish the thread there. So now we've taken the hook out of the vise. We're going to take one of our beads, and with the big hole forward towards the eyelet, we're going to put the bead on and put the hook back into the vise in preparation for tying. Now that we have the bead on, pushed up, we are going to put our thread back on, and again tie in right behind the bead. Cut off your excess and keep wrapping behind the bead to form a bit of thread back there so your bead won't slide down when we go to tie in the body. Now that we have the thread tied in up behind the bead, we're going to actually move the hook up vertically so we can actually start tying in the rib and the body. Now that we have the hook in the proper position, we're going to take our Flashabou, our black Flashabou, and just tie it in, and we'll use this to rib the fly a little bit later. Now I've taken 2 strands of my smoke buzzer wrap, and we're just going to tie this in. So tie it in, wrap it back, and then what we're going to do is actually wrap our thread and taper the body. So we're just going to keep wrapping our thread up and make a tapered body, and we want a nice brown body underneath this buzzer wrap. Now that we have the thread tied in, I'm going to move the hook back down into position where I can start wrapping. So now I'm going to take my buzzer wrap and start wrapping over the brown thread or the rust thread that I have to form the body. Now that we have the body tied in, we're going to rib it. So we're going to take our black Flashabou and make like 7 to 8 ribs up the fly. Now that we have the rib tied in, I'm going to form a little bit of a thorax on the fly. And of course, I love this rust color. Creates a great thorax. So just do a few whip finishes, and do it again until you have a nice brown thorax on the fly. So to finish the fly off, I'm going to cut my gills, and I don't want them too long. I just want a nice little gill top just on the top. Keep them small, keep it short. And I'm going to take some UV coating, and just take a little bit of that UV coat and coat the fly up and hit it with the UV lamp, and you have a real nice finished chironomid. So there it is, the finished Twisted Sister Chironomid. As you saw in that video a little earlier on, the chironomids, when they emerge, start really straight, but as they proceed up, they really get twisted. And this fly is quite effective when those chironomids are hatching, so make sure you have some in your fly box.